The morning of June 27th arrives clear and sunny in a village of about 300 people. The flowers are blossoming, the grass is richly green, and the community is beginning to gather in the square between the post office and the bank for an annual event. The children assemble first. School has just ended for the summer, and the feeling of liberty sits uneasily on most of them. They gather quietly at first, their talk still centered on the classroom, teachers, and reprimands. In one corner of the square, a few boys, led by Bobby Martin, begin selecting the smoothest and roundest stones they can find. They work meticulously, building a great pile and guarding it against the raids of other children. Soon, the men gather, speaking of planting and rain, tractors, and taxes, while the women arrive in faded house dresses and sweaters to join their husbands. As the crowd fills the square, the women call their children away from the stones to stand properly within their family groups. Jackson builds this scene using the textures of a typical summer morning. By emphasizing the gossip, the children's play, and the mundane concerns of a farming community, the town square feels like the site of any ordinary civic gathering. The event is conducted by Mr. Summers, a jovial man who runs the local coal business. He arrives carrying a battered black wooden box, and the crowd murmurs as he sets it down on a three-legged stool in the center of the square. This black box is a relic, used even before the oldest man in town was born. While Mr. Summers frequently suggests making a new one, the village is reluctant to upset even this small piece of tradition, believing the current box contains pieces of the original one constructed by the very first settlers. The preparation is strictly clerical. Mr. Summers and the postmaster spend the night before creating lists of every household and head of family, carefully preparing slips of paper to replace the wood chips used in previous generations, simply because paper fits more easily into the box. Just as the proceedings are about to begin, Tessie Hutchinson comes running along the path. She slips into the crowd, drying her hands on her apron and laughing with her neighbors about how she almost forgot what day it was, until she noticed her children were gone. The village manages the lottery with the same administrative tone as the square dances, the teen club, and the Halloween program. It is an official town function, handled with the same checklists and swearing-in ceremonies as any other piece of local government business. The procedure begins with the heads of families. Mr. Summers begins to read names alphabetically, and each man steps forward to take a folded slip of paper from the black box. The rules are specific. Once a slip of paper is taken, it must be held firmly and kept folded. No one is permitted to look at their paper until every household has had its turn. While the men wait, rumors circulate that other towns are talking about giving up the lottery. Old Man Warner, who is participating for his 77th year, dismisses these reports, calling the younger generation a pack of crazy fools. Warner defends the practice by citing an old saying, "Lottery in June, corn be heavy soon." For him, the ritual is an essential agricultural necessity that has always been a part of village life. After a long, breathless pause, Mr. Summers gives the signal. All the slips of paper are opened at once as the women begin to speak all at once, asking who has it. The tension in the square stems from this rigid adherence to the rules. The community is bound together by the procedure, following a set of instructions that have remained largely unchanged for decades. The silence is broken as the result becomes clear. The word moves quickly through the crowd. Bill Hutchinson has drawn the marked slip. Tessie Hutchinson's casual attitude vanishes instantly. She begins shouting at Mr. Summers, claiming he didn't give her husband enough time to choose the paper he wanted, insisting to her neighbors that the draw wasn't fair. Because Bill drew the marked paper for the household, the procedure shifts to the second phase. The family must draw again as individuals. Mr. Graves prepares 5 new slips for the 2 parents and 3 children, dropping the rest away. Tessie's sudden isolation is absolute. Even her closest friends tell her to be a good sport, as the lottery's rules override personal loyalty, forcing the community to focus entirely on the mechanics of the next draw. Mr. Summers calls the 5 Hutchinsons forward for the final drawing. Little Dave goes first, assisted by Mr. Graves, reaching into the box and taking out a single slip of paper. Nancy and Bill Jr. follow, then Tessie, who snatches her paper and holds it behind her. Finally, Bill Hutchinson reaches in and brings his hand out with the last slip. When the papers are opened, a sigh of relief passes through the crowd. Little Dave's paper is blank, and Nancy and Bill Jr. hold theirs above their heads, laughing and beaming as they show the villagers they are safe. The focus remains on the parents. Bill unfolds his paper and shows the crowd that it too is blank. Bill goes to his wife and forces the paper out of her hand. He holds it up so everyone can see the heavy black spot Mr. Summers made the night before in the coal company office. With the final slip revealed, the bureaucratic process is complete. The lists, the box, and the alphabetical draws have fulfilled their function, and the crowd moves to conclude the day's events. Mr. Summers gives the final instruction to finish quickly. The villagers turn back to the pile of stones the children had gathered earlier, with even the women selecting stones so large they require 2 hands to carry. The participation is total. Someone even hands a few small pebbles to little Dave Hutchinson, ensuring the youngest family member is included. Tessie stands in the center of a cleared space as the villagers move in. She screams that it isn't fair. It isn't right as the first stone hits her, and the rest of the town, led by Old Man Warner and Steve Adams, descends upon her. Published in 1948, Jackson's story utilized the setting of a small American village to examine the nature of mass conformity. Written just after World War II, it explores how easily communities can participate in violence when it is framed as a tradition. The lottery suggests that the most dangerous aspect of tradition is not the ritual itself, but the unquestioning mindset of those who perform it. It remains a study in how ordinary people can normalize cruelty through the simple act of following a procedure